You're standing at the edge of a great, humid floodplain. The air is thick, heavy with the smell of damp earth, rotting wood, and the sweet perfume of primitive flowers. Towering ferns and cycads create a lush, green labyrinth around you, while colossal conifers pierce a sky that feels both alien and strangely familiar. You feel a deep, rhythmic vibration through the soles of your feet, a bass note that resonates in your chest, a sound that hasn't echoed on this planet for 66 million years. Ever wonder what it truly felt like to stand in the shadow of a living giant, or to hear the snap of a branch under a foot that weighed more than a car? Let us know in the comments where you're watching from and which prehistoric creature captures your imagination the most. Now, let's journey back in time together and uncover the story of a lost world. The year is 67 million years before your time. The place is the western interior of North America, a land we now call Montana. This is the very end of the age of dinosaurs, the closing act of the magnificent Mesozoic era. The ground continues to tremble as the source of the vibration emerges from a grove of broadleaf trees. It's a creature of impossible scale and majesty. Its head alone is the size of a small car, a formidable shield of solid bone crowned with 3 terrifyingly beautiful horns. This is Triceratops. Its name is a perfect description, a gift from the Greek language arth tri, for 3, ka ras for horn, and opes for face, the 3-horned face. When the first complete skull was unearthed, scientists gave it the full species name Triceratops horridus. You might assume horridus means horrid or horrible, painting a picture of a monstrous beast. But in Latin, it means raw or bristly, a nod to the rugged, textured surface of the fossilized skull bones. It wasn't a judgment of its character, but an observation of its magnificent, weathered anatomy. You are witnessing one of the last and greatest dinosaurs to ever walk the earth. Its kingdom is a vast, subtropical coastal plain, crisscrossed by rivers and swamps, stretching towards a shallow sea that splits the continent in 2. The climate is warm and wet, a global greenhouse that supports an explosion of life. There are no grasslands here. The ground is a carpet of ferns, mosses, and the first pioneering flowering plants. This is the world Triceratops was built for. It is not merely a resident of this late Cretaceous landscape. It is one of its chief architects, a 10-ton herbivore shaping the very vegetation it consumes. Its story is woven into the final chapter of a 150 million year dynasty, a final, spectacular flourish of evolution before a cataclysm from the stars brought the curtain down. Your gaze is fixed on its head, an anatomical masterpiece and a biological fortress. It accounts for nearly a third of the animal's entire length. The 2 horns that sweep up from above its eyes are each over a meter long, sharp and solid bone, sheathed in a layer of keratin, the same material that makes up your fingernails or the horn of a rhino. In life, they would have been even longer and sharper than the fossilized cores we see today. They aren't just for show. They are weapons of lethal potential, pointed forward, perfectly positioned to intercept the charge of the only predator foolish enough to hunt it. Below them, a shorter, stouter horn protrudes from its nose, adding a 3rd point to its deadly trident. Behind the horns is the frill. In some dinosaurs, this bony shield is a delicate lattice of openings and struts, but not in Triceratops. Its frill is a solid, thick fan of bone, a veritable shield wall protecting its vulnerable neck and shoulders. Imagine the force required to break it. This wasn't just passive armor. Scientists now believe it was also a brilliant, dynamic billboard. Covered in skin and likely crisscrossed with blood vessels, it could have been flushed with color, a vibrant display to intimidate rivals or attract a mate. Different patterns or colors might have even signaled which species of ceratopsian you were looking at, a crucial detail in a world with many horned, faced cousins. From this incredible skull, the body extends like a living bastion. Its powerful beak, sharp and narrow, is a precision tool for snipping through the toughest cycads and palms. It's less like the beak of a parrot and more like a pair of industrial-grade pruning shears. Behind that beak lies one of nature's most efficient processing systems. Its torso is a massive, barrel-chested vat, housing an enormous digestive system needed to ferment and break down colossal amounts of tough plant fiber. Supporting this 10-ton frame are 4 pillar-like legs. They are short and stout, designed for stability and power, not for speed. Hollywood often gets this wrong, depicting it in a full gallop. In reality, it likely had a powerful, purposeful walk, perhaps breaking into a lumbering trot when threatened. A pace that, with its immense mass, would have been more than enough to be terrifying. Its front legs splayed slightly outwards, a semi-sprawling posture that gave it a low center of gravity, making it incredibly difficult to topple. This was an animal built to stand its ground, to anchor itself to the earth and present an impenetrable wall of horn and bone to any threat that dared to approach. Every feature, from the tip of its horns to the base of its powerful tail, was a response to the pressures of its environment. A perfect adaptation for life and survival at the very end of the Cretaceous. The giant lowers its massive head. With a deliberate movement, it grips a large, low-growing cycad in its powerful beak, and, with a twist of its neck, shears the tough plant from its base. This is the sound of the Cretaceous food web in action. Triceratops was a bulk feeder, a mega herbivore that fueled its colossal body by consuming hundreds of kilograms of vegetation every single day. While its beak did the initial cutting, the real magic happened inside its mouth. It possessed one of the most sophisticated dental arrangements of any reptile. Hidden within its cheeks were hundreds of teeth, stacked on top of each other in dense columns called dental batteries. As the top layer of teeth wore down from grinding fibrous plants, a new, sharp tooth would erupt from below to replace it. This created a constantly regenerating, file-like surface that could slice and pulp even the most unforgiving plant matter into a digestible mash. It was the biological equivalent of a self-sharpening wood chipper. This incredible adaptation allowed Triceratops to thrive on the tough flora that other herbivores might have ignored, giving it a crucial edge in its ecosystem. For a long time, paleontologists debated whether it was a selective browser or a clear-cutting grazer. Its low, slung head suggests it primarily fed on plants under 2 meters tall, but its immense strength means it could have easily pushed over larger tree ferns or cycads to get to the tender foliage at the top, much like elephants do today. This role as the primary consumer placed it at the heart of its environment. It was the Cretaceous equivalent of the great herds of bison in North America or the wildebeest of the Serengeti. A foundational species. But in a world of giants, being a plant eater means you are also on the menu. Its primary predator was the most famous carnivore of all time, Tyrannosaurus rex. For decades, we imagined their encounters as a simple predator versus prey dynamic, with Triceratops as little more than a walking meal. But the fossil record tells a far more dramatic story, one of a true evolutionary arms race. We have found Triceratops frills and brow horns with healed puncture marks that perfectly match the size and spacing of T-Rex teeth. This is crucial evidence. It means that on many occasions, a Triceratops was attacked by a Tyrannosaurus, fought back, and survived to fight another day. It wasn't just prey, it was a formidable adversary. The T-Rex's bone-shattering bite was met with a shield of bone and 3 spear-like horns. This was a battle between two titans at the peak of their evolutionary power, a clash of tooth and horn that must have been one of the most awe-inspiring spectacles of the natural world. As you watch this magnificent creature, another one emerges from the forest, and then a third. A juvenile, smaller but already well-armed, stays close to the largest adult. This brings up one of the most debated questions in paleontology. Was Triceratops a solitary wanderer or a social, herding animal? The image of vast herds migrating across the Cretaceous plains is a powerful one, but the evidence has been tricky to interpret. Unlike some other horned dinosaurs, massive bone beds containing thousands of Triceratops are rare. However, we have found smaller bone beds, sites with the remains of 3 or more individuals who died together. This suggests that they may have lived in small family groups, perhaps a mother and her offspring, or congregated in larger numbers for seasonal migrations to find fresh food and water. This social dimension breathes new life into our understanding of its anatomy. That massive frill and those horns were likely as important for communicating with each other as they were for fending off predators. Like the antlers of a modern moose, they were signals of health, dominance, and maturity. A larger, more vibrant frill might have signaled a primate. And the horns, they weren't just for T-Rex. We have fossil evidence of puncture wounds on the frills and faces of Triceratops that were not caused by predators. Instead, the wounds are the right shape and in the right place to have been inflicted by the horns of another Triceratops. This points to epic shoving matches and ritualized combat between rivals, locking horns to compete for status, territory, or mating rights. It paints a picture of a complex social life, full of display, rivalry, and interaction. Underpinning this active and potentially social lifestyle is the question of its physiology. A classic, slow, moving, cold-blooded reptile would struggle to power a 10-ton body through daily battles and long migrations. Most scientists now believe that Triceratops, like many dinosaurs, had a metabolism that was far more energetic. It likely possessed a form of gigantothermy, where its sheer body mass allowed it to retain heat and maintain a stable, high body temperature. This would have given it the stamina needed for its demanding life. This physiological engine would have supported not just combat, but perhaps even more complex behaviors like parental care. While we lack a fossil of a Triceratops on a nest, its close relatives like Prehistoric have been found with nests and young, suggesting that caring for their offspring was a common trait among ceratopsians. The image of a protective adult Triceratops using its formidable body to shield its young from danger is a powerful and very plausible scenario, transforming it from a simple beast into a devoted parent at the heart of a dynamic social world. The story of Triceratops doesn't end 66 million years ago with a flash of light in the sky. Its second life began in 1887 with a discovery near Denver, Colorado. A pair of enormous fossilized horns attached to a skull fragment were sent to the brilliant but fiercely competitive paleontologist Othniel Charles Marsh. So unfamiliar was this creature that Marsh initially identified them as belonging to a gigantic, extinct species of bison. It wasn't until a more complete skull was found 2 years later that the astonishing truth was revealed. This was no mammal. It was a dinosaur of a kind no one had ever seen before. Marsh quickly named it Triceratops horridus, and the discovery became a major headline in the infamous Bone Wars. His bitter rivalry with Edward Drinker coped to unearth and name the most spectacular fossils from the American West. Triceratops immediately captured the public and scientific imagination. As one of the very last non-avian dinosaurs, its fossils are found in rocks dating right up to the boundary of the Great Extinction Event. It serves as a bookend, a final, magnificent representative of a lost age. Its fame also made it a subject of intense study and, inevitably, some scientific controversy. For a time, a compelling hypothesis suggested that Triceratops was actually the juvenile or sub-adult form of another, rarer horned dinosaur with large openings in its frill, known as Torosaurus. The idea was that as Triceratops aged, its solid frill would thin and develop holes, transforming it into a Torosaurus. However, more recent discoveries, including fossils of very old Triceratops and very young Torosaurus, have largely put this idea to rest. They are once again viewed as distinct, though closely related, giants. This scientific journey has reshaped our perception of the animal, moving it far beyond the popular culture caricature of a slow, passive victim waiting to become a T-Rex's next meal. The fossil evidence we've uncovered, the healed bite marks from predators, the combat wounds from rivals, the powerful dental batteries, paints a portrait of a supremely successful and formidable creature. It was a survivor, capable of defending itself against the most fearsome predator of its time. Triceratops was not just T-Rex fodder. It was a walking fortress, a marvel of evolutionary engineering that thrived for millions of years, right up until the very last moments of the Cretaceous. And so, as the light fades on this ancient world, we leave our titan standing as a symbol of endurance and power. The fossilized bones of Triceratops are more than just relics of a bygone era. They are a direct connection to a planet teeming with a different kind of life, a vibrant and awe-inspiring world that existed just beneath our feet. Its story, etched in stone and slowly pieced together by generations of curious minds, reminds us that our planet's history is a grand and epic narrative, and that even after 66 million years of silence, the giants of the past still have profound and fascinating tales to tell, inviting us to keep digging, to keep questioning, and to forever stand in wonder of the magnificent life that came before us.